Yeah. Let's think logically. Okay. If you still don't believe that his education is bunk, all right, then let's think logically. He had a bankruptcy before he applied for all of this stuff, his secret clearance, top secret clearance. He never would have been granted that. Then his W-2 shows he only received $958.11, but it has the United States Department of Naval Intelligence. That phrasing hasn't been around since World War II. The EIN number doesn't match up. But then that amount means that he actually did not work there that long, and he admitted he did not have a PhD. So he wouldn't be the high man on the totem pole. But okay, let's play devil's advocate. People are saying, well, of course he wouldn't disappear, Vito, because, his face is out there. People would notice. Okay, why hasn't he had a car accident? If it was that serious, why hasn't he fallen down a set of steps?
Yeah.
Why hasn't he been charged on a lesser charge? Why hasn't, he can't say one word color.
Why hasn't somebody gone to his residence and said, you say one more word, okay, and we're going to put you through a meat grinder.
Right.
Okay? So,
he says that his whole family was threatened. Okay.
Yes.
Friends and family were absolutely threatened. But there's no proof of that either. He's saying it.
And I'll say it again, folks. I believe that there are aliens out there. Yes, of course there are. But do I believe that this moron has worked with them and reverse engineered, done all this stuff, gone to school, had this amazing job and all of? I don't believe squat from this guy.
Right. Yeah, okay. It doesn't make sense. He couldn't even tell you if there was a cafeteria. He couldn't describe it. I could tell you if I've been to a chow hall.
Yeah, but Mellanie, this is what gets me. And when he was on Rogan, it was just, and I love Joe Rogan, but sometimes it's just like when Rogan would press him on stuff, all of a sudden he'd have a headache. He'd get this headache, and and then people go, oh, it's because the CIA, they must have implanted, this mechanism when he talks about, Area 51, they press a button somewhere in Washington and it gives him a headache.
So he was anally probed too, and somehow it went all the way up into his brain, but he doesn't know about that. Come on, that's just new. That's new.
Sorry, say that again. He was anally probed?
Yeah, it must be. They anally probed him.
Him and Corbell every Friday night?
Probably. Yeah. It's just.
I know. I'm gonna have. There's, if you're gay, I love gay people. All right.
My daughter's gay, so I don't really care. But here's the thing.
I am on Thursdays, so whenever.
Baby,
we all need to make money, people.
Some way, shape, or form, and that's the thing with everybody's like. He claims
he said he was forward. He was anally probed.
Is that how it got up in there? Is that
that's the thing. That's the thing.
People are saying he came forward and he said the reason why is he felt the scientific community needed to know. So because he wanted to promote all of this stuff, but actually nothing really beneficial came out to the scientific community. And then when you're looking at it from that standpoint, okay, well, it's not about him. Well, I think it's the opposite, because I think he got a dose of fame at a young age when, and it just kind of grew from there. He wanted more and he wanted more, but I don't think he took into consideration back then the implications of such a grandiose claim.
Well, when he built the rocket car.
Oh my God.
He built this piece of shit rocket car. It looked ridiculous, but all it was if you saw it drive by, you would sit there and go, wow, that looks interesting. That looks like something an idiot would build. So let's go talk to this idiot. He's a guy that's starving for attention.
Yes.
Like if he did not want, like, he's like, I hate being asked this. Oh God, I can't, you know, I can't get away. I can't get away. And then all of a sudden it's like, are the cameras rolling over here? Like, what's my
Mhm.
best shot here? What, like he is such a, like,
He's
I'm trying my
I think
best
he's
not
a
to describe.
narcissist in many ways.
Yes. Yeah.
For example, he made this big deal about how he built a particle accelerator and it was in his bedroom. But people don't realize that in Scientific American back in like 1969, they actually had this full-on article about how to build one
Mhm.
with diagrams. They
Yeah.
also had kits that they sold for this stuff. So it's almost like he self promotes and then he steps back and says, well, I don't want the attention and I don't want to be in this. Well, then why were you in so many newspaper articles about various different things, not even related to this? And then when that died down, or you didn't correct certain things. For example, there was one article in which it labeled him a physicist at Los Alamos. He didn't correct it, but he wasn't a physicist at Los Alamos. He was a contractor, and by his own admission in his BK, he was a photo processor. But then, so he's doing all these little mini articles on different subjects. Then he comes out with this one. And at first, under the cover of darkness, he uses the name Dennis. And then a week later, he's so in fear for his life that he goes on air as insurance. Well, you don't need insurance to speak at Rachel, Nevada. You don't need insurance to go to these UFON, which are UFO conventions, uh, to speak, where you're being also compensated. You're,
Oh,
and then they,
you're treated like a god. Are
yeah,
you kidding me?
he's doing speaking engagements. He's doing articles for various shows
Yeah.
and journals and things like that.
Yeah.
And then he said, well, I laid low.
Yeah. Please leave me alone. Leave me
I
alone.
laid low. I just wanted to do my own business of United Nuclear, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, you did have that business, but don't think I didn't catch that you, when you had that website up, you also had a little link about your backstory with you, this whole element 115 and S4 and
Yes.
all this other bullshit. You were self-promoting.
Yes. And that element 115, uh, they said, I, I, I don't know if I sent you the article, but that scientists
Mhm.
years ago said that they would come up with element 115, and they came up with it in 2003.
3.
And it
In
only like,
Moscow.
and yeah, and that place, okay, so 50 years, that Russian laboratory, nuclear, so they in the last 50 years alone, they've discovered 9 new elements.
Mhm. Now, element 115 is, and it's only man-made. Okay. Element 115 means there's 115 protons. It has a half-life of 0.006. So
That's seconds, like it's just
yeah,
like,
it's half, not even half a second.
yeah.
And then it destabilizes. It's only good to, and it then instantly absorbs into the other element of whatever it's for. So he claimed that element 115 back in 1989 was the fuel that they used. And he said he told Michael Linden in his book, UFO and Alien Presence. Yeah, he doesn't want any publicity, but he has no problem speaking to other authors about it. That, quote, I was the one who identified 115. That was my only contribution to the project. And I don't stand on the fact that it's 115, but if it's not, it's 114. It's right there. He was asked, how did you determine that? Did you put it in a mass spectrograph? And then that's how a physicist asked him that.
Yeah, and he doesn't know how to,
He doesn't know.
the basics he doesn't know.
Yeah. And that's what's so crazy. So he's on the job for about 1 week, according to his W-2. And he's not a PhD in physics, but he's able to waltz right in. He's such a genius. He can waltz right in. And yet all these other doctors who've been working on all this stuff can't figure it out. And he walks in and in 1 week says, oh, that's element 115. Bam, that's how this works. In 1 week, but you don't even know how a mass spectrogram works. That doesn't make sense, Bob. Well,
Yeah.
what's going on here, Bob? Can you clarify that without a headache? I would have no problems if he turned off all the lights and we could talk softly and he could explain all this. But he doesn't even do that. And nobody
No, they
presses
should,
him.
like, I'm not against violence, but someone should slap the shit out of him just to say, you're lying. And we know you're lying. And he
Yeah.
needs to come out but you see, he's in too deep. He's in too deep. He'll never come out and say, I made it all up. Because he has so many followers that, like, he's got Joe Rogan believing him.
But I want people to just stop and think about this for a second. Let's say you've worked somewhere for 5-6 years. Your job, you have degrees in this. You've put your blood, sweat, and tears, and you're working so hard on something. And would you believe someone who came in, if they said later that they just waltzed right in? And keep in mind, to go through all the in processing and security clearance, that takes days. And they don't have a degree. They don't have the background. They don't even know the experiments and controls that you've done. But they can automatically just look at something and identify what it is, how it works, what it's used for, without even reading your work. That's not how it works. I mean, that's common sense. That's common sense.
It's like this. It's like being a geologist, where I could pick up a rock and I'll just say, like, he'll ask me, what is this? And I'll say, well, it's a rock. Well, what kind of rock? I don't know. It's a rock. But you ask a geologist and he'll tell you exactly what kind of rock it is. And he'll use a long, elaborate word, and I'll sit there and pretend I know what he's talking about. And that's what Bob's doing, because Bob doesn't know what these words mean.
But then he slips up, because he says, I don't stand on the fact that it's 115. But if it's not, it's 114. It's right in there. Okay, well, if you're the first to identify it, a new element, you're the first to identify a brand spanking new element, wouldn't you remember what it was?
Yeah, of course you would.
I mean, these are
would.
just basic facts. This is science. It's like magic, but real. It's science.
But
Go ahead.
the people in the industry, though, the scientists, the real scientists, and why haven't a lot of them spoken up? You know why?
They have.
Okay, they have, but for the longest time they didn't, because they didn't take this guy serious. They just thought it was some, he's on TV or whatever. Okay, whatever. And then now finally, tell about the scientists, real scientists, that have spoken up and said, this guy doesn't know his ass from a hole in the ground.
What they've all come to the conclusion, and it's quite laughable. It's quite laughable, because at Rachel, Nevada, he slips up. If you can download the transcripts and you can listen to it, when he's asked questions about science, he speaks quite vaguely. He uses key words to put here and there to make it sound like he knows what he's talking about. But people in the fields who do understand science or does have the degrees are like, that's not how that works, or that doesn't even make sense. It's just like word vomit. And then there's even people who have published how his physics doesn't add up. It's not possible.
But wouldn't you find that embarrassing to be called out by your peers? And wouldn't you, like, I would get, if somebody called me out on something, I would say, no, you challenged me. Now I'm going to challenge you back. Bob's never challenged anybody back.
No, and he actually won't sit down and talk with any other physicists or
No,
scientists.
no.
He actually will not allow them to be part of any of his interviews, and he won't answer any questions from them.
And folks, don't you get that? Isn't that the like, it's like sitting with a car mechanic and saying, I'm a car mechanic. Okay, sit with this car mechanic and talk to him about the combustion engine together. And sorry, I only really work with wooden tools. I
Mhm.
mean, it's like training for a fight and you're a fighter, but you don't want to be in a room full of other fighters to talk about, hey, so how do you spar, how do you what's
Right.
what's your favorite move, or they have a slang for when you throw a punch, you're putting out, hit him like you want to cause you really want to cause damage. There's, I'm trying not to swear, but there's slang that they use that a boxer would know.
Mhm.
Okay,
And he doesn't know it.
he doesn't know it. He
No,
hasn't.
he
He has
doesn't.
no clue.
He didn't even pick up on some of that stuff.
But
But then there's the other thing. Scientists, just like even with in my field, history, for example, this would be a really, really, really big deal if he identified a new element. And it's out there. Keep in mind, because Moscovian, which is actually the name for element 115, it's in peer-reviewed journals. It's the documentation is out there, the studies, how they came about it, not a big deal. So if it's already out there, why hasn't he written anything? If he is a physicist and where is your thesis? Because you would keep a copy of your own master's thesis. Why isn't it published? What peer-reviewed journal are you in, Bob Lazar, to back up any of your stuff, any of your science?
And the way you're making it sound, people are going to sit there and go, "Oh, she's being mean." No, she's not.
No.
She's being what? If you go to court, okay, and they ask you questions, she's trying to be a prosecutor and doing her job by saying, hey, this is the evidence that we have, this is what I'm showing you, the judge, or the jurors, you make the decision. So I really hope you could sit there and look at this, and she's not in it to sell anything, folks. She just
No.
sat there and thought, this guy for years has been pulling this bullshit trick on people. It's not even a Jedi mind trick. It's just idiotic to the point of just you got to be an idiot to believe him. You literally need to be an idiot to believe anything this guy says. And I guarantee you, people will attack her to say, "Wow, she, what is she?"
I don't get butthurt. That's fine.
No,
You can
but
attack me all you want.
but here's the thing, though. It's not like you're selling anything. You're sitting there saying, let's look at his claims and let's see if they're true. That's all she's doing. And and we're not even hitting on, we like the brothel. The idiot owned he had a
He's a
brothel.
pimp, dude. This dude has a record. He has a record for pandering. And you know what, Bob? With your big old nerd glasses and all, I'll give you credit for that. You're a pimp. And he set up a brothel, hired some woman named Tracy, and then tried to get her to recruit other people to come work inside the brothel. And he would take 50% of the cut.
All right, I spoke over you. Say that again.
Okay, so what ended up happening is, and this is a case, is that he set up this brothel with someone named Tracy. And then he tried to get Tracy to go out and recruit other women to work within this brothel, and he would take 50% of the cut.
Oh, wow.
And that's what his pandering charge was for, and he was given probation.
What a sniveling little weasel. So
well, it might be, but he got some street cred.
Yeah, but the woman's doing pretty much all the work, and this maggoty piece of shit wanted 50% of.
I know, that's kind of a high cut there, Bob. Why didn't you take it down a little?
Like that's just pure, come on, folks, that's just evil. Okay. Like, you know, if a girl can do whatever she wants with her body, but he is playing the part of a pimp here.
Yeah, he
He's
said
taking,
that he set up just the computers and the cameras and then has helped with establishing the business, but he wanted a percentage. Bob, use a pimp, you
yeah,
know.
the
Um,
percentage is 50%.
yeah, it was, maybe he just wanted a joint venture. I don't know. But here's the crazy thing is I'm not trying to attack him. Now, I know you said people are going to say, well, she's being mean. Here's the thing I want a lot of you to understand is that Bob Lazar should have thick skin, because if you have a master's and you're defending your thesis, the committee will start barraging you with a whole bunch of questions that's why it's called defending the thesis. When you are in science and you are promoting something, you have to defend. The onus is on you. The questions that I'm asking and these facts that I'm presenting, he's making these claims. So the onus is actually on him to substantiate said claims. And he's not. I'm not being mean. I'm just asking just point blank questions. And if that's going to make somebody butthurt, then this isn't the community you need to be in. If you're going to make these claims and you're going to be all, upset because I'm saying, well, you don't remember what year you got your master's degree, or you don't know how this works. Is it 115 or is it 114? Or how were you able to get your security clearance when you have a bankruptcy on record? If that's going to produce hurt feelings, well, too fucking bad. Then shut your freaking mouth. Sorry, I don't mean to swear, but yeah, shut your pie hole then, because this is what everybody should be asking. I understand the desire to want to believe in
Yes,
something.
I was about to say that.
I do.
People want to believe, you know?
There's nothing wrong with that.
No.
You can be passionate about that. But what it ends up hurting is it also, for everyone that's on this Lazar kick, you have to understand, without asking these challenging questions and demanding some sort of answer, you're actually hurting your own credibility then too. You're hurting that MUFON community. You're hurting ufology because you're promoting it as truth, but turning a blind eye to glaring problems.
Right.
So if you don't want your own reputation tainted, don't be afraid to say, hey, Bob, I want to believe you, but I've got some problems with this. And I'm not going to take I got a headache for an answer, because if I'm going to back you and put my name out there on the line for you, you at least owe me the explanation that I'm asking so that my name is not dragged in the mud.
Yeah.
Maybe that's how people need to start looking at this.